So I'm going to make way for our host right now. You've seen her on television if you watch Channel 13. Her name is Karen Edwards. She's going to be the host of this panel. And so, Karen, thank you, first of all, for gracing us with your presence, taking time out to moderate this very, very important panel for us. And I turn it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here for this conference. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to please ask each of our panelists to do a 30-second introduction of yourself, including your name, your organization, and your role within that organization.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Sikadolski. I'm the president of USC Builds, and I'm one of the development partners for the Bull's Head Revitalization Project. Great to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Happy to popcorn. Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings. Happy New Year. My name is Dr. Lomax R. Campbell, and I am the president and CEO of a national consulting firm called Third Eye Network. Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Ely. I am VP of Innovation at One Rock, which is Greater Rochester, New York's Regional Economic Development Alliance. And I'm very honored to be here. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here. My name's Shannon Scott, and I'm the owner and master stylist of Sewing City Hair Salon, a business that was established over 14 years ago. So we've been tested, tried, and true. So yeah, happy to be here.
Melissa, you operate across construction development and workforce systems. In this uncertain environment, how are you deciding which opportunities to pursue and which ones to walk away from?
Thanks for the question. I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. All kinds of technical issues today. So in uncertain environments, we've had to shift a bit internally. And rather than just, in past years, we'd ask the question, is this a good opportunity? Now we've shifted to say, is this a good opportunity for us at this time? And what I mean by that is that we look at three different things, and we're very clear and focused on these three things. So we're evaluating capacity, we're looking at capital, and we're looking at culture. From a capacity perspective, we're really evaluating, do we have the leadership, the skills, and the team? And from a systems perspective, can we execute well? From capital, we're evaluating our financing, our cash flow timing, and also the risk exposure. And from a culture perspective, this is a rather newer shift for us. We are very intentional now that we are turning away opportunities that do not align with our culture. And mostly, from a work environment perspective, can we honestly say that our people are going to be treated with dignity and respect? And it is our responsibility to hold that line and to turn away from opportunities that are not aligned in that way. I've also learned to walk away from an opportunity from a leadership perspective, and I don't view that as failure. And I know that I've been known as well to discontinue, business relationships and have the courage and the faith and the respect in order to say, this isn't aligned. We are not serving each other well, and we have to know when it's not working and be honest with ourselves and walk away when it's not working. And I think that does take a discipline, particularly at a time when most people during times of uncertainty can develop a scarcity mentality. So I personally I am abundantly focused at all times, regardless of what's happening around me. I know that what I need is in a divine connection within me. And I know at times like this, that resilience matters, and that I'm focused and leaning all the way in on growth and opportunity and staying abundantly focused.
Thank you so much. Okay, another question here. I'm going to go to Dr. Lomax Campbell. On the piggybacking on what Melissa just spoke about, what signals do you pay closest attention to in assessing whether uncertainty represents risk, opportunity, or both?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you, Karen. When I look at disruptions, I look at it both internally and externally. So, as a government contractor, we typically work with government, foundations, nonprofits, school districts, colleges, and universities. And so, because they're often tied to, say, federal funding, or because state funding is also one of the ways they're funded, or even regulatory things. when they're impacted, the first thing I'm trying to figure out is, will that impact their ability to procure our services? Or also, I may look at, because of how they're impacted by either policies, practices, or funding policy or practices, I may say, well, does that mean that organizations are downsizing or more constrained? And how does that create opportunity for us to present our value proposition to provide support to their organizations or their networks of organizations? But more so internally, necessity is the mother of invention. And so we've experienced disruptions in our years. So we've been around since 2020, this cycle. And so one of the things that we've done as we've looked at how uncertainty and disruption have impacted the industries we primarily serve is we've begun to diversify into new markets. So instead of just serving our traditional markets, public sector, nonprofit, quasi-government agencies, we've come up with entirely new product and service delivery models that make our services more accessible to growing small businesses who may not be as impacted by the disruptions that some of the other markets that we serve face. And the same thing with small nonprofits who've been impacted but can participate in a scaled down version of what we're offering traditionally. And so that's been one of the ways that we've navigated disruption during uncertain times. And those are things we wouldn't have seen during stable times. We would not have seen the opportunity to pioneer new offerings or to enter new market segments had it not been for things that makes you less comfortable, if I can use that phrasing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to move on now to Shannon Scott, please. I would like you to talk about what personal practices or systems have helped you stay grounded and effective during the high pressure season.
Personally, I seek alignment by using the cliche principles of mind, body, and spirit. However, I like prioritize them in reverse. I always check in with my spirit and my body. And typically, if I'm not doing good in any one of those aspects, my business is not doing as well because my business is only as healthy as I am. So I typically, go into sacred scripture, get back into my workout routine, and then some way somehow the information I need comes to mind, or solutions and systems are readily available at my mind that are ready to be like executed or evaluated. So I stick to those. And business wise, I have systems in place for my staff and myself, for daily and weekly rituals that keep us grounded and strong in events, no matter the circumstances going on around us. Yeah, and I encourage, self mastery with my team and myself, and skill set mastery that helps us stand strong, in tough times and remain consistent.
Wonderful, thank you. Shannon Ely, for those who may not be as familiar, can you share what One Rock does and how its role fits into the broader economic development ecosystem?
Yes, thank you so much, Karen. So I'll start out just by really quickly answering, what is economic development? It is a word that gets thrown around a lot. And really at its most basic level, it is about creating the conditions that allow people and businesses in a community to thrive. So that means good jobs, opportunity, quality of life that is attracting new talent, and it's also retaining the talent that we have here. And it really does mean adapting to headwinds and trying to take advantage of local and national opportunities and really go out there and try to bring net new funding and investment to our region to support the organizations and people that are here today. So One Rock was formed in 2019 as Rock 2025, with 2025 being kind of a North Star goal year. And it was created by the region's business and philanthropic investors who recognized that Rochester could go further faster with better coordination and more capacity among its economic development organizations, from the large institutions that we all know, like the Chamber of Commerce, GRE, the Rochester Downtown Development Corporation, Visit Rochester, and NextCore, to name a few. Not to mention our public partners like the City of Rochester, the 9 counties of the Finger Lakes region, and of course, New York State, which is a major economic development investor. So One Rock's role has evolved over the past 6 years to serve as that alliance, but also to serve as a regional intermediary, meaning that we help align partners around specific mission areas and investments, often coming from national philanthropies. And some of those key mission areas that One Rock and its partners work on are business attraction and growth, talent and workforce coordination, downtown and other place-based revitalization in our neighborhoods and commercial corridors, regional branding and marketing through the Greater Rock campaign, and then large-scale initiatives that are often cross-regional, like the New York Smart Eye Corridor Tech Hub, which I'll talk about a little bit in my second question response, as well as the Regional Revitalization Partnership and a new effort called the Western New York Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Accelerator. So One Rock is not meant to replace organizations. It's really meant to be a framework to bring those organizations together and to create a shared set of metrics. So we are measuring things like job growth, regional GDP, unemployment, labor force growth, and we're doing that to really be able to tell whether our efforts are moving the needle and whether they can be effective, so that we can work with our partners and change course. But you know, it's right there in the name. It's One Rock. We're really much stronger as a region when we're coordinated and synergistic. So I have the pleasure of working with Dr. Campbell and Melissa and I'm sure many folks on this call. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share more, and look forward to working with all of you more in the future.
Thank you. Next question is for Dr. Campbell. How can institutions with more power or resources show up differently to support smaller or historically under-resourced organizations during volatility, and are they obligated to do so?
Well, that's a great question, and I appreciate that, Karen. For starters, organizations can make longitudinal commitments to organizations, small organizations like mine, who have the ability and capacity to scale with them, because the name of the game in business is cash flow. If you're not bringing in regular dollars, it's difficult to keep your people employed or to stay in business. And so when a large organization like a Chamber of Commerce or a foundation or a government agency, state agency, sees an organization that has the potential to be a long-term partner, making a multi-year contract with them and paying them on time or even early with the appropriate incentives is one way to guarantee that they stick around and help them achieve their strategic goals. Specifically in our case, just to kind of speak to how that's played out, we have 5 areas of work that we do. We do research and development. We do professional planning. We do organizational resilience work, which could be helping distressed organizations turn things around or provide capacity to organizations that are just capacity constrained. The 4th area is marketing and design. And then the 5th area is entrepreneurial ecosystem building, or just ecosystem building. And most of our work has been in the community-based, entrepreneur-led economic development space. So for a school district to say, we want to work with you in the marketing and design space to be our minority vendor because you're certified, and we'll give you a 3-year contract, that stabilizes organizations in uncertain times. For those organizations to be able to account for that estimated cash flow, they can plan to create jobs, which is the ultimate goal, one of the ultimate goals of economic development, raising the living standards for an area and creating jobs, which generates tax revenue for an area and its people. And so those kinds of commitments are important to do, not shy away from. We tend to see the opposite, where organizations may cut vital functions during difficult times because their funding is unstable, but then they just go without, or they may tax their internal people with 2 and 3 persons worth of work, instead of saying, let's grow with an outside outsourced partner where we don't have to cover payroll taxes, we don't have to provide benefits, but if we properly contract with them, their stability would allow them to provide those things downstream to the people they employ. And so I think that's one of the big ways that institutions can, with more power and resources, can show up differently to support smaller organizations. Put your money where your mouth is, build a deep relationship, and do it over time.
Thank you. For Melissa now, government policy shifts create both friction and opportunity. How are you adapting your business and development models to stay viable while still advancing community impact?
Well, I really resonate with everything that I heard Shannon and Dr. Campbell share. So just to add further to that, so we operate in a space, whether I'm acting as the president of USC Builds or I'm one of the development partners representing the Bull's Head Revitalization Project, public policy is unavoidable. And when you're talking about construction, development, workforce development, because I'm also acting as the chairperson of the board for Ascend Workforce Solutions that does a lot of workforce development in our communities. We don't have the luxury of ignoring the impact of public policy changes, but we also can't build our models assuming stability. So we have to plan for the what ifs. We have to think about all the various scenarios and design for flexibility and adaptability. So for us, that means planning with optionality. I'm always working on parallel paths and pursuing all the different options at the same time. Just in the event that one doesn't happen, I have a quick place to pivot. We try to diversify our capital stacks and make sure that our various lending sources and financial sources are really diversified. So if there's an impact to one, we can pivot to another. We believe in things like phase development, which helps us de-risk opportunities and build as we go. And also building partnerships and alliances that allow us to adapt when either funding timelines or rules change. And sometimes those partnerships can leverage different relationships that further diversify opportunity or further leverage or reduce risk. This also means really being honest about the trade-offs about that. Not every project can carry, every social outcome and still be financially viable. And so when doing things, important work, sometimes revitalization projects, for example, we need to really speak clearly and plainly about the headwinds and the challenges and the realities of the heavy lift that we are embarking on, and making sure that we're level setting expectations and that we're aligning ourselves with the right partners so that we're not going to face further consequence or conflict or have added burden when the realizations of these types of policy shifts occur. We've also, recognized that community impact isn't just about intention and vision. And so for me, it's really about execution that lasts. And for me, it's the focus on building a business that's healthy, because without a healthy business and infrastructure, the mission can't survive. Our adaptation, fairly in the last few years has been about marrying good financial practices and financial discipline with the social responsibility, with the social impact elements, and not treating them as opposites. And at the bottom of all of that, just in summary, it's doing good must also make good business sense. Because for the impact to be sustainable, it is absolutely essential that that is the case.
Thank you. To Shannon Scott now, talking about the difficulties that can arise, how has the community, whether your team, clients, or wider network, supported your ability to rise through those difficult moments?
Starting with my clients and during the COVID season, I remember when we first got shut down by the government shutdown before the SBA started giving out their grants. My clients, friends, and people I knew, they were just sending me cash apps. Support Black business. We support your business. And it just really just showed me how the community came together to fund our business and products and making wigs, and was doing everything I can to sustain. But my clients and just the community came together and literally funded my business until we were able to get back up and running. As far as my team, they showed up in ways that I didn't expect, like moving forward towards our renovation project. We expanded, we created 8 additional jobs. So I was still operating the one salon while still trying to bring in funds to build out the new salon and trying to secure funding and sustain a knee injury during the construction process. So my staff showed up. 2 of my girls quit their other full-time jobs and became full-time at the salon. They just showed up in ways to let me know that they can be trusted. I was able to properly take a step back, delegate and train them, interview and hire new staff. So they just showed up in a way that was just astonishing. So they followed my lead, and it just showed me that I was leading by example and they were following in my footsteps. And lastly, the community on an economic development scale, they really showed up for me as far as the city of Rochester. And at the time, Redco, and starting with I don't know, Oki Ikpeazy, I believe he works for ABC, but he's the president of the Portland Avenue Business Association that I was on. And he just introduced me to, people at the city of Rochester that helped me. And he let them know, hey, help her, because I showed up for my community, and he made sure that I was taken care of to bridge the gap during the crisis with COVID. So Redco and the city of Rochester literally came together along with my banker Joe at M&T. The way they came together to help me fund that project was just nothing short of miraculous. So now we've just expanded into our new luxurious location. We got a team of 11. We started with 4. So yes, that was a way that those development companies showed up for me. So I'm grateful.
It's amazing. Thank you. For Shannon Ely, based on the work One Rock is doing, what opportunities do you see emerging for our community, and how can we rise to the occasion given the real constraints and pressures that many are facing right now?
Yes, thank you, Karen. I think it is important to start by really naming that reality. Organizations are facing constraints and pressure. Teams are stretched thin. Funding is uncertain. It can change from day to day and hour by hour. And many leaders and teams are really being asked to do more and rise to these occasions with less. So from One Rock's vantage point, we think one of the most important opportunities right now is the ability to use some of these large multi-year, multi-city investments, like the New York Smart I-Corridor Tech Hub, which is the federally supported tech hub around the semiconductor industry, and using those opportunities as stabilization and as energy for the broader ecosystem. And we're especially seeing that the more that we come together internally in the greater Rochester region and externally as a Western New York and an upstate region, people are noticing, and it's attracting national philanthropy that wants to build and wants to layer and wants to help our communities take advantage of what is really seen as a generational opportunity. So a little bit more about the Tech Hub. Rochester and this region is kind of already in the middle of a semiconductor hub, and by the year 2035, 1 in 4 of all locally produced semiconductor chips will be made within 350 miles of where we're all sitting right now. And that's going to happen whether or not federal investment comes, because the private companies are making their bets on our region, on the talent that's here, on the resources, the fresh water, the quality of life, the cost of living, and they're increasingly seeing the benefits of investing here. So One Rock is really looking at bringing those national philanthropies and our leaders across Rochester, Buffalo, and Syracuse, and creating shared assets that can support our entire region. So that means stronger workforce pipelines, specifically around semiconductor and microelectronics, which are it's a piece of technology that you are probably surrounded by. It's in literally everything we use: phones, TVs, your car. It literally drives modern technology. So for our region to be able to play such a large role in that, it's going to mean growth. The projection for Central New York is 80,000 more people in the next 10 years. So that doesn't have implications just for the semiconductor and microelectronics supply chain. It really has impacts on the entire economic landscape of the region, on housing, talent, infrastructure, and small business. So the opportunity there, I think, is really to plan for inclusive growth. And it's really to seize every opportunity we have to bring people together and then get more resources down that pipeline so that we can be really intentional about how we're uplifting every segment of our community. And we have some things in the works right now, actually, that we have the pleasure of working with Dr. Campbell on around the entrepreneurial ecosystem. There are a number of resources being formed to support our entrepreneurial support organizations, to put more capital into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So there is just more money available for small business like Shannon's to take advantage of and to grow and to meet the moment, whether that's being a part of the supply chain or whether it's just being a part of the growth that we're seeing. So that's something One Rock is really being intentional, and we're spending a lot of time learning from communities around the country so that we're bringing some of those new ideas and best practices here, and making sure that everyone has a part of the growth that we see coming.
Thank you. I guess let me ask you instead then, let's talk about the signals that you pay attention to when you're assessing whether uncertainty represents risk, opportunity, or both.
Yeah, I would say uncertainty always represents opportunity. And I appreciate you, Karen, for being so gracious and staying with it. I look for gaps, I look for pain points, and I look for where there's unmet needs that literally align with what we do or what someone we know does, to try to create opportunities to fill that gap. And as I mentioned earlier, necessity is the mother of invention. So we're currently doing work in Connecticut, Missouri, in Syracuse, New York, Rochester, New York, and we've done some stuff down in the DMV area. If I'm talking to people, whether it's our direct client or their community members, and I keep hearing the same problems, I keep hearing that these things are serving us but not well enough. The question becomes, how does that align with what we do or someone we know does, and what types of ways can we show up to fill those gaps? And because I'm a scientist, I'm a social scientist by training, doctor of management, I use a framework called PESTLE analysis to kind of frame up those thoughts and conversations with my staff. There's 8 of us on my team. So PESTLE, P stands for political factors, what's going on in the political environment. So this is where you're looking at public policy, resource allocations, and things of that nature. Who's in office, where do they lean, things of that nature. And that's federal, state, local, tribal, et cetera. And so the question becomes, what's going on and how does that impact the people I serve, the people I employ, and the people I care about, right? Or collaborate with. The next one in the PESTLE equation is E for economic. So what's going on in the economic, from an economics perspective, it's not just economic development, but the financial environment. Are people investing in markets? Are people investing in businesses? Are people investing in employees? Are they hiring? Are they investing in tools and technology? And if not, why not? And how can we rise up to fill that gap? S in PESTLE is for social cultural. It's hyphenated when I use it. And so I'm looking at those social and cultural factors. Do we see more RFPs coming out? Do we see more folks showing up to conferences where we may be speaking or presenting or sponsoring? And then in turn, are there more people interested in speaking to us after they hear us speak? Also, whether or not folks are networking more or staying more insular and more tribal in those times, because that determines where you move next, and who you plug into opportunities, or how you plug into opportunities. The next one is the T, which is technological. So what tools can make our work more efficient, more cost effective, or allow us to help make our clients and partners' lives more efficient and more cost effective. The L is for legal or regulatory. And so what are the things that we have to watch for, whether it's from an HR perspective, marketing perspective, economic, et cetera. And then lastly, the last E is environmental. So what are the implications of projects like Interstate 81 in central New York? And how does that impact quality of life for residents there? And the work that we're doing with the On-Ramp Center to do community outreach to build that workforce innovation hub by bringing community perspective. So the environmental factors determines whether or not there's other projects or other opportunities to rise to the occasion. So that's how we assess risk.
Thank you. For Shannon Scott, what has uncertainty taught you about yourself?
Can you hear me? Hello? You can
Yes,
hear
yes, we
me?
can.
Okay.
Yes.
So uncertainty has taught me that all my greatest accomplishment literally were birthed in times of uncertainty. It showed me that the things that I'm passionate about are worth the birthing pangs. It also showed me that my faith and my spiritual maturity were not only strong, but are evident. And as far as my leadership style, it also showed me that I not only can make something out of nothing, but that I am a leader that helps create other leaders, a leader who helps others to master themselves and the aim to reach their fullest potentials. Recently came to the realization that the best leaders, such as myself, create more leaders and not just followers. Because 5 out of the 20 plus girls that I've employed, they've all left my salon to open their own businesses and salons. And it has also shown me that success is like right where luck and preparation meet. So my grounding principles have proved to be vital and necessary.
Thank you so much. Melissa, it is 2026. We've started a new year. What is one mindset shift or action you want business and community leaders to take away from this conversation?
Well, first, I just have to say how inspired I am by the positive message and the mindset that I've taken away from these panelists. Like it's really kind of, food for the soul today. So thank you for that. I would definitely encourage leaders to shift from certainty seeking to capacity building. And it's a subtle shift, but it's a big one. There's a lot of people out there at times of uncertainty that keep waiting for clarity. They're waiting for the answers. They're waiting for things to come and settle, and they're waiting for the clarity in what to do next. So I think we can't be certain of that, but what we can be certain on is building strong teams, creating transparent communication, improving our decision-making processes, and functioning better under pressure and becoming more resilient in our practice. And when I say that, I don't mean that strength and solidarity mean like we're going to pretend things are fine. I think it's quite the opposite. I think that we have to lean into telling the messy truths and sharing risk and staying in relationship even when it's uncomfortable. And I feel like if leaders can do that, the uncertainty becomes something that we navigate together instead of something that paralyzes us. And I also just want to say that times of uncertainty can bring great opportunity. And if we're open to see it and we're willing to do the work required to transform our preconceived notions of what progress or success looks like, I think that we're poised to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. I feel like COVID taught us a lot of things. And I was so proud of our community during the times of COVID. And one poignant lesson that I took away from that is we can unite to do what our community needs us to. And an example of that is, during the unprecedented times of COVID, you saw our healthcare systems in Rochester come together and even create joint venture opportunities to meet the demands of the times. And they recognized in that there were literally lives that were hanging in the balance. That was an unprecedented action at the time, and it was so what the community needed. And in my own experience, in the Bull's Head Revitalization Project, we face a lot of headwinds. There's always constant turbulence and changes, whether it's policy changes or organizational changes. I felt very challenged at times because I felt as though, being that we're in an unprecedented time now, there's no paved road for me to refer to. There's no historic reference point that I can look back to. And so what I leaned into was I created the Innovate and Revitalize Symposium last year. And that was an invitation to gather civic leaders and real estate developers and stakeholders from our community, but also from all over the nation. I wanted to know who is doing this, who's doing the hard work that I'm trying to do and doing it well. And I invited those individuals to our community so that they could share their experiences and that we could benchmark and learn from one another and share best practices. So I feel like at this time, we need to be brave and we need to be bold and we need to take action. We can't shrink, we can't be afraid, and we cannot put our heads down and react in fear. If we lift our gaze and we recognize that we do not have to do it alone, if we recognize that we should not stay in our silo, if we join forces, if we share best practices, if we supplement each other and be additive rather than competitive, I feel as though we can reduce redundancy, we can work more efficiently, we can be more profitable, and we can meet the unprecedented needs of our community. So I refer to an example of this. I refer to the Bull's Head revitalization as a movement. It is not a project. It is a movement. I'm inviting others to build a coalition, people that want to do things differently, who are in our community and want better for our community. We are going to reinvent what it means to collaborate because of the unprecedented level of challenge that this project requires of us. And we are going to do it at a whole other level. So this is an open invitation to join the movement. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. All voices matter, all contributions matter. And I just encourage others to be bold in that, in their leadership as well.
Beautiful. We do have a question in the chat, but first, Dr. Campbell, did I see your hand raised? Did you want to piggyback on something there?
Yes, this is why I can't do panels with my dear friend Melissa, because she always gets me fired up. I almost took my tie off while she was talking um, about mindset. And I just want to echo, and I was snapping fingers over here. I want to echo everything she said about being pioneering. And I just want to, the Pan-Africanist in me wants to bring up this principle of Sankofa, go back and fetch it. And we have to remember from a mindset change perspective that this region, this community, this city is 250 years of pioneering and innovation. And we have not always followed the beaten path. And I think, through the years, as we've become more conservative as a community, we've started asking about best practices and other models and what are other people doing. But we have to remember, whether you're talking about the Flower City or Kodak or Xerox or people like Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony, or whether you're talking Austin Stewart, we've always said, how can we lead? When you look at our institutions, how can we lead? And so that mindset shift of just remembering it's already in our organizational, cultural, and community DNA for us to take strides to pioneer uncertain times. There's no playbook for that. And that's what Melissa was harping on. From our context, I mentioned earlier, we literally built out a subscription framework for marketing and design services, for HR services, and for operations and compliance services so that it's a month-to-month available service that makes it accessible to small businesses and to small nonprofits and small municipalities. But I wouldn't have even thought of that if we weren't in these uncertain times, one. And on top of that, two, that's pioneering. I found globally 8 subscription-based marketing companies. I've not found an HR-based a subscription-based HR services company from my web search and other conversations. And so just even as simple as that, what can we do differently? Even if we're doing the same things we've always done, how can we deploy it differently? How can we take things from one industry like art and apply it to engineering? How can we pull something from teaching and apply it to economic development? How can we pull something from community development and bring it into public policy practice? That is innovative. Even though you're not creating something new, you're employing it in a new space, in a new way, and getting people to be bought on and build momentum. So I just wanted to remind us here, since there's 63 of us, we just got to remember who we are.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. We have a question from the chat to Shannon Ely. Are there any limits to the size of business that One Rock works with? As an example, could a neighborhood-based small business like Shannon's, or is the focus more on large businesses?
Thank you, Karen. I just wanted to start by saying that I am also extremely inspired by everyone on this panel and the way that you are continuing the iconic legacy of Rochester as a leader. And I love that, Dr. Campbell. We're going to call you for our regional marketing and get you on tape saying that, because it's absolutely true. But to answer that question, no, there is no size limit to the businesses that One Rock ultimately serves. And the way we think about it is there's really no wrong door in the ecosystem now. So a neighborhood-based small business might not work directly with One Rock one-on-one unless they're maybe accessing some of the funding opportunities that we serve as the intermediary for, but they can absolutely access resources through the partners that we support and help coordinate depending on what they need. So For example, Connected Communities in the Emma Beechwood neighborhood is a great example of a partner that we support through the Regional Revitalization Partnership, and they work directly with neighborhood-based businesses and corridor needs. They've got their Connect Lab, so they've got space, resources, amazing resource. RDDC, the Downtown Corporation, is offering financial and technical support for downtown businesses. So whether that's the grant program that they're working through right now or just technical support and networking, they're really working on that specific area of small business. And then, Visit Rochester for retail and visitor based. And there are so many other entrepreneurial support organizations that we work with across the region that provide that coaching, capital access, technical assistance. So really, if you come to One Rock or any of our partners, the idea is that we're going to get you to the right place. We're going to connect you with the right resources. And I think we have just really made such strides as far as the shared ownership of every business that it's not our organization. We're going to claim success. No, we're all going to be responsible for that success. And I think a great example is the Main Street Working Group that we have right now, where the city, the county, the state, One Rock, our partners, we sit down every quarter, and we might not even necessarily have an agenda, but the topic is how can we better align to provide resources? And it's led to some really exciting new resources, new ways of working, new processes, and we're just going straight ahead with that idea. So it's not really a small versus large. It's the idea that there is someone to support everyone, and we're going to help you find that.
Thank you so much. I do believe we have time for any questions. If anyone has any, you can use the Q&A box for that. But I do want to ask any of our panelists if there was anything else you all wanted to share at this moment before I ask for your closing remarks.
I just wanted to touch on One Rock directly, and Shannon specifically as such an incredible leader with that has such a heart for this work. Through the Bull's Head Revitalization Project, there are 2 existing business owners that are small business owners that are have owner-occupied buildings. And they were very overwhelmed and feeling overwhelmed by a large revitalization happening in their neighborhood. And one of the things we've tried to do is just meet with them, try to explain with them at every step. They're the first stakeholders we sit down with at any iteration of when we're going to release to the public. We sit with them first and make sure we're giving them that respect and honor of the conversation and the ability to ask and answer questions. Through that process, they became overwhelmed about what their buildings would need from a facade perspective in order to be in line with the neighborhood that's emerging around them. And just making a quick call to Shannon, it was like immediately she opened that door. 2 small business owners were able to sit down and really talk through some of the financial options available to them in our community in order to kind of lessen their overwhelm and also for them to be able to take advantage of the business opportunities that come. The revitalization, yes, it's a movement. It can be overwhelming, but there's also tremendous opportunity for these 2 small businesses that One Rock will help position in a better way in order to be able to leverage that fully. So I just a testimonial for One Rock. We found their willingness to wade into waters that most people would avoid, and to be able to just roll sleeves up and get creative and think about ways to approach problems is so refreshing. And that level of collaboration that Shannon just spoke of, again, being unprecedented across the different municipalities and stakeholder groups in our community is we are just so far superior as a community because of that work that's happening. So I'm just grateful.
I want to thank you right back, Melissa, for making those connections that you're still making to this day, and hopefully will continue to. And I want to let everyone know that the Revitalize and Innovate Summit, please attend that. It is incredibly inspiring. Last year you brought such great guests from across the country and across our community. So just another great example of bringing people together and inspiring and innovative ideas. So thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. It will be June 24th and 25th, and we're going to be hosting it at the Simply Building this year. So we're really excited to bring that project forward as a spotlight as well. Thank you.
Oh, yep, I'll jump in as well. I attended the summit last year. It was fantastic. I learned a lot. It made me want to become a developer, and that's not even what I want to do. But it was so inspiring and it's very needed. I definitely looking for opportunities to partner with Melissa and her network on that work. But I want to leave everybody with 5 words that I think are essential to navigating and succeeding in uncertain times. Relationship. Relationships matter. We have to double down on how we spend time with one another, how we show up transparently with one another, how we allow ourselves to be vulnerable to one another so that we can entrench ourselves in one another because we're all we got, right? Interdependence is our reality. Second, commitment. We need to make those explicit. It should not be, oh, I've always known you and you've always looked out for me and I've always looked out for you. We need to make our commitment to one another and to navigating those uncertain times and those risks explicit because we shouldn't assume, and most of you know what happens when you assume. I won't repeat that because we're recording. The third one is collaboration. Again, no one person, no one organization can do all things. And as we've said repeatedly, a lot of the things that we're facing in these uncertain times are unprecedented. And the situations we've landed ourselves in, whether it's inequities or what have you, are unprecedented. It wasn't the work of one person. And so we need to collaborate. Collaboration is deep and important and enduring. The next one is reciprocity. Everyone needs to get what they need to be whole, and that's central to my faith. It's essential to community organizing principles and it's good business sense, as Melissa mentioned earlier. And so reciprocity agendas are essential to that commitment in those relationships and collaboration. And then lastly, ingenuity. The reason why children are so amazing is because we haven't socialized them yet. We haven't stolen their dreams. We have not made them become practical. And so when we come together in our relationship with our commitment, trying to collaborate to solve unprecedented problems with a reciprocity agenda, we can create new things and deploy things in new ways that takes our society, our nation, our race, our humanity, our world forward. And so I just want to leave you with that.
Beautifully said. And I will take those as your closing comments if that's okay. Shannon Scott, if you would like to make a short closing comment, a minute or less, if we could.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say that uncertainty is always a part of growth, and what determines how we rise is what we return to. Like for me, mind, body, and spirit. And if we continue to work together and stay grounded and aligned, we can do great things. And like Dr. Lomax said, I'm just totally grateful for the collaborations and all the efforts that he does to keep my business in the loop on certain conferences and events like this, so that I can continue to use them as a learning tool to help me with my continued growth and experience. And also to say just to stand on principle and not emotion during times of uncertainty. Not being afraid to speak up when you need help, and just definitely being a part of the community and being able to keep that awareness out of those economic development companies for small businesses like myself. And I'm like the first one to share my contacts and my ecosystems with everybody, all my friends in business. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's here today. I've learned so much, and I'm just grateful to be a part of this event.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Melissa?
Yes, again, thank you to this amazing experience. I just want to thank Action for a Better Community, and I also want to lift them up to this audience, and I continue to lift them up in our community in general, and particularly Jerome Underwood and his leadership. But these are unprecedented times, and as Dr. Campbell referenced, we have to support organizations like ABC now more than ever. So that includes going to the awards breakfast on January 22nd. That includes, showing up for golf tournaments. That means all the things. And so it's using our power, privilege, and platform to be able to elevate the organizations that are giving back to the community. And so it's such an honor to be a part of this experience. And I'm really looking forward to see what the new year brings with all of you.
Thank you so much. And Shannon Ely.
Sure, yes. I want to thank ABC and Jerome as well, and Christopher Bell and the whole team for making this such a great seamless experience. I really hope I can make the breakfast. I need to see if I can move a meeting, but I'm gonna try. So I would just say if there's one thing to leave this group with, it's that uncertainty doesn't just test individual organizations, it really tests systems. And it really proves that none of us can do this alone or carry this moment alone. And I think the regions that emerge the strongest are going to be the ones that really choose coordination over competition, clarity over complexity, and we'll say solidarity over silos. So it's really echoing a lot of what our panelists have said so far, but I really think that you know, the conditions for people and businesses to thrive are really only going to happen when we're willing to come together, share that responsibility, and really meet each other where we are. So it's hard work, it's tough, there are setbacks, but I am feeling really encouraged by the people on this panel and the people that we work with every day. So I just want to thank you all so much.
Thank you. And yes, thank you so much to the panelists and to everyone joining in today. I'm Karen Edwards with 13 WHAM News, and I will hand things back over to Jerome Underwood, the incredible Jerome Underwood. Thank you all so much.